psychology of life. In many first world countries, poverty levels are reaching unprecedented levels. For Americans in particular, economic inequality is rapidly becoming a social and public health crisis. Decades of tax breaks for the rich and deep cuts to welfare systems have created a wealth divide that once seemed implausible. Today, the richest 3 families in the States have more wealth than the poorest half of the population. America currently ranks last for economic equality when compared with similar first world nations. It edges towards a plunge into a Great Depression it might never fully recover from. We know what happens when economic inequality is allowed to fester. The social consequences are extensively documented. They include rapid increases in mental illness, obesity, and crime. Life expectancy falls. Entire communities get cut off from their support systems and wither like the sawn branches of a dying tree. These changes are very far-reaching and difficult to reverse. Before we dive into it, we would like to ask you to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on similar videos. Hit the notification button so that you can be notified every time we post a video. Why don't we care more about economic inequalities? According to the World Economic Forum, income equality is one of the biggest drivers of international unrest and instability. So, why did a recent survey reveal fewer than 50% of Americans are concerned? Have we lost our ability to care? It may seem like a thoroughly modern question. However, the reactions of a populace to economic and social inequalities have been questioned for centuries. Political scientists, economists, and philosophers have long wondered why the bigger inequalities get, the less interest they seem to generate. One possible explanation is that people are disproportionately concerned about local inequalities. In other words, they care much less about the government giving money to billionaires than they do appearing worse off than their neighbors. On a personal level, it makes perfect sense. You don't know the wealthiest people in the country. You assume they have yachts, sport cars, and all the luxuries they desire. Maybe you feel jealous, but it's an abstract emotion. It has no context beyond a vague dream of wishing for more. Your neighbor, on the other hand, is not much wealthier than you, but they recently got a promotion. They just bought a car. Every day you have to look at that car and feel disadvantaged. Do they think they're better than you now? What if you redesigned your backyard and put in a deck? You could invite them over. You're worth as much as them. You should love thy neighbor or resent him. It's easy for people to become fixated with distribution of wealth on their street or in their workplace because they're real. The wealth of a billionaire heiress may feel unfair, but it's irrelevant. It has no bearing on the lives of most, regardless of how they feel about it. If the heiress were to lose her fortune tomorrow, nothing would change for them. In this way, vast and destructive inequalities can develop and grow without too much consternation from the populace. The blindness to larger economic inequalities is demonstrated by research on people's responses to local wealth. In one such study, researchers analyzed the behavior of residents living close to postcode lottery winners. On a Dutch street, multiple households received BMWs as lottery prizes. Those residents who did not enter received nothing. Their actions in the weeks and months after the win were telling. There was a significant increase in car buying on the street for around 6 months following the lottery. Another study found colleagues who formerly got on very well saw a decline in their relationship after revealing their respective salaries. It's become normal for Americans in particular to behave negatively towards better paid workmates but happily give money to millionaire dynasties like the Kardashians. Are we helping to build new systems of inequality? It's not hard to see why this is a problem. It clearly results in the perpetuation of economic inequalities. The super wealthy are not concerned with the poor. They make their deals and build their empires in entirely different spaces. They don't exist in the same contexts, so they are not comparable. Who is comparable? Neighbors? Friends? Colleagues? The boss you hate? They exist in the same space, so can realistically be equaled or bested. Yale University conducted a study that showed economically deprived neighbors share similar levels of cooperation to those experienced in more mixed communities of rich and poor individuals. The rich are reluctant to cooperate with the poor, which is no big surprise. More surprising is the fact poorer people are often just as reluctant to cooperate with each other. The wealthy move in circles that reinforce and perpetuate their wealth. The economically deprived indulge in behaviors that perpetuate their poverty. It's not to say the economically deprived are at fault. This is the system America has constructed, and it didn't happen by accident. In the land of the free, the clearest narrative is one of individualism. You are free to be whoever you want, the implication being that failure to succeed is not about political, social, or economic limitations, but a deficit of ambition.